Hello guys, it's Wade McMaster here, and in today's video I'm going to show you how you can edit my free YouTube thumbnail templates for Photoshop. Of course, now if you have subscribed and you're watching this video and you're just checking this out, thank you for subscribing, and if you haven't actually subscribed, you can access these thumbnails using the link in the description below. So the way it works is you're going to download, I've got the thumbnails open here, and it's just like any other Photoshop file. You can go in and make edits. If you have your layers panel here on the right, of course, if you can't find that layers panel, you can always go to Window and Layers to turn that on. And you'll find we've got some layers down the side here. We've got a text layer, which I can move around. If I select, I can go free transform, edit free transform, move that around, and I can make changes to that. And of course, I've got another blob section here for the photo, and then a few little shapes and bits and pieces for the background. Now I'm going to go through this one very quickly, and then we're going to move on to some of the others to show you a few extra little tidbits of information. So the way it works is, if we go to our text layer first and foremost and expand that layer out, you see we've got a top line, second line, and bottom line. So if I click on top line and use the text tool, I can actually change this to something else, like 30 ways. And I can sort of go through second line. I can even double click this layer. Whoops, I actually accidentally created another one. Moving a bit too quickly. Double click this edit second line here. Double click on the actual T icon. And 30 ways to improve. So I've got 30 ways to improve photos, and what I can do from there is simply select each layer, hit edit, free transform, or use Control T, and just resize those in place so I get a nice even look to the text. I can also move it about and change it completely. I can rotate it by hitting Control T again, or Command T, and move a few bits and pieces around. Once again, selecting the top line here. Just simply by selecting these layers, you can move these around. You can edit the text. The fonts are included, and if you go into the zip file I've included, there's a folder there called fonts. You can simply double click, open that up, and install those fonts onto your computer by right clicking install for Windows. And yeah, they're all Google fonts, so you can find them easily enough on Google. But that's how you quickly change the text there. You'll notice there's actually a bit of an outline. If I just collapse this text layer, you'll see we've got 3 strokes here under effects. So if I right click and go blending options at the top here, I can go down to stroke on the right, and this one is black. So I can simply change that to blue if I want to. You see that's now blue. I can then go to the second stroke, which is yellow, and maybe I want to make that a different color. Maybe I want to make that like more of a green. And I can go through and make those changes. And with this background color here, it's red, I can simply get my little bucket fill tool, choose a color here. Maybe I want to make that more of a green. I can just click on this layer, get my paint bucket tool, and plop that color in there. And then of course the same with the yellow here. So maybe I'll choose this blue, and I can just paint bucket, and the whole layer will sort of change like that. That's how quickly and easily you can change the look of the actual layer. And of course there's a little bit of a texture there, and you'll notice there's a paint texture layer here. You can always take the fill and opacity down if you don't want it to be as strong. That's just to sort of give it a little bit of life. And of course the final thing is this photo here. So I've got here photo blob, and if you expand that out, you'll see a layer that says insert image here. And that's one thing I just want to backtrack for a second on the layers. Same here, edit, top line, edit. Generally with those text layers, I'll put edit in front or insert image here. So I can go to file and place embedded. And if I pick one of these images here, maybe I'll pick the picture of this girl here. If I'm inside that folder, I can move that in place, and it will stay. If I zoom out a little, I can enlarge it, and it will stay cropped in that section like that. Now if you find you have trouble getting in there into that blob shape, you may find your image is landed outside of the folder like this. If you look for the photo blob folder and you grab your image, you should be able to just drag it in to that folder and it'll pop it in there like that. And then of course you can change the order. If you want this image at the top, you can simply delete this image. And that's how you can make basic changes to that first thumbnail. Now we've got a few other here I'm going to quickly go through. Upmore again has got similar effects. I can actually go to my text layer, go to edit, top line, double click on the T, and I can change get more monies, zoom out a bit. I can, once again, under this group here, I can go in and where it says insert image here, I can click on that, and then I can go to file, place, and find yet another image. And of course the photo has absolutely no bearing to the title I've got there, but that's okay. And you can see how quickly and easily I can simply go in there and change things. So by clicking on that layer before placing it, it places the new image just above it, which is a good bit of practice. Now this actual background area here, there's an image in the background there. If I go here to background image, you'll see there's a background image. Once again, I click on that layer and go to file, place embedded. I can pop this mountain picture in there. I can make it quite large. And then I have a different layer in the background. And if I want to change these colors here, you'll see we've got just above it a gradient map. So if I double click on this little icon here, I'll get my gradient here. I can simply choose another gradient from this list and try a few different sort of looks, such as that, or I'll undo, or I can simply double click and I can change the actual colors independently in this gradient by clicking on the bottom marker, clicking on the color, and maybe I want to go a bit deeper of a blue, but maybe over here where the green is, I click on color. Maybe I decide I want that to be more of an orangey color. Click that, click OK, and that's how you can get that effect with the two colors in the background using the gradient map. And also this arrow, if you're wondering about that arrow there, how that works, we click on arrow, double click on color overlay, and you'll see the color here. If you don't see this color overlay section here, you may have this little arrow turned off. You can click on that to show it up, or as before, you can right click, go to blending options, and if you don't have this, you can see that's popping up there. If I scroll down to color overlay here, just move this up, color overlay, and click on that, I can change the color here. I can make it bright yellow. Okay, and then that way I can change the color. So you're going to find most things are going to be a combination of color overlays, some basic effects like this text here has a few drop shadows we can remove. Once again, under blending options, we can go through and turn those off. So drop shadow here, we can turn one off here by unticking it. If you can see over here, turn this one off. So you have the option to turn off certain effects if you want to. And of course you can expand that layer and move the text around as you see fit, like that. And you can simply move, you can edit the type, you can do whatever you want, with just a few little color overlays, gradient map, and a few basic effects. And then I've set up folders to crop the images off. So as you go through, you're going to find that here. I've got some text here which we can change as per normal, another photo, and even this paint effect down here. You can actually double click on the color overlay again, change that to a different color. So if I go to color overlay, I can change that to a pink, click OK, and you get a different effect yet again. So everything, after you get beyond those first few bits of editing text, changing some of the effects, and paint bucketing in colors for backgrounds and using your color overlays, the rest are going to be pretty similar. All of the red on this page here, this is another one worth going through. If you have a picture you want to have this X show up on, there is a folder here called red circle, arrow, and border, and above it is the X. So let's say I want to move the X over here. I can actually, I'm holding down control there, but I can also just go to edit and free transform and move that to where I want it to. If you have your magnifying glass or the brush tool selected, you can usually hit Control or Command to just click and drag things. But if I expand this red circle, arrow, and border folder, you'll see I've got the border. I've got an underline, I've got an arrow and a circle. If I click on the circle down here, I can hold down Control, move that circle over here. And I can also grab this arrow just above it, move that over as well. So that way I can put the focus on another area. And if I want to change this red here, all I need to do is go to the red circle, arrow, and border folder, and you'll see there's a color overlay. So I right click, blending options, click on color overlay here. And all I need to do is click on this red area and I can go through, change it to a blue, click OK, OK, and I've got a completely different look. Again, under this group here, I've got an image. And one thing you'll notice is the group is actually only 52% transparent, so I can knock that up a bit, knock it down. So you can change the opacity of some of these layers, insert different images, file. So once again, I've clicked on insert image here, and this time I'm going to pop this image in place instead. So it's very easy just to go in and make these changes. The text again is the same as before. There's edit, top text. Now these ones aren't in folders, so I can just double click on the T. I can change this to don't do that. Again, got a couple of drop shadows creating this red and blue effect. You can go in, change those, move them around, and it's pretty straightforward. You go through this one here, clean tech is the same as before. We're popping an image into the photo folder, and then we've got a few different areas here, such as the background, call them background scribbles. Now I can, once again, this is a whole folder, so I click on the color overlay. I can make it something else. So I change all of that to light blue. And at the moment its opacity is 22, so I can crank that up if I want to, move it down. And I can really play with that quite easily. Arrow circle, similar. We've got an arrow and then a circle with another color overlay. So we can change that as well. Get a completely different look. Green arrow. It's very easy to get these changes looking the way you want. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Color overlays, bits and pieces. Now with these boxes here, these boxes will not change automatically. It's something I don't think you can do in Photoshop. But if I go into my text layer and change how to simply to, whoops, forget about that for a second, Control Z, double click on the T, and say why you should. So now that's actually wider than the box. I can go to edit and free transform again and make it smaller than the box, position it so it fits, or I can undo that. And you'll see we've got its top text, second text. So you can actually move these folders and it'll move the whole box. So if I actually get this top text folder and expand it, you'll see there's a rectangle underneath. Now if I hit Control T or edit, free transform, I can actually just expand this that way. I can make it a little bit, I can sort of hold down Shift and warp it a little bit. So you can change the shape of that box quite easily, and it's a vector, so you're not going to lose any quality doing that. So it's easy enough to select these folders and move them around as you see fit, and then expand them, change the bits and pieces, and then of course under here where you've got the panel, you can go in. We've got the undersquare layer, which is a color overlay for this orange here. Once again, I can go in, change that, make it green. It's easy to go in, and all of these objects will have color overlays on them you can easily change. So that's it's funny, it's taken almost 15 minutes, but it felt a little bit rushed almost, but that's pretty much the ins and outs of these free templates. If you want to use them, you want to edit them. And then of course, when you upload your next video, I would recommend going to File, Export and Save for Web, choosing a JPEG, and exporting your image and uploading to YouTube from there. So that's how you can change those files around. Pretty easy, pretty straightforward. If you've used Photoshop before, you'll be able to do this very simply. If you're still just learning Photoshop or you're a beginner with it, it can be a good way to start learning how to play with something that has actually already been set up for you a bit. Could be a nice little sort of stepping stone into learning how to manipulate things in Photoshop. But the key is to get to that window, make sure your layers are turned on, and everything will be in layers on the right here. And by changing your text, inserting images, and changing color overlays, and maybe paint bucketing some of those backgrounds, you will find you'll get those effects quite easily. All right, Thanks for watching the video, guys. If you have any questions, leave a comment below. Otherwise, I hope to see you again soon, and have a great day. Talk to you later.